joined us this evening. Now, we'd like to start out our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance by I'm going to have Chief Roberts to come forward and lead us in that, after which we'll have the opening remarks by Councilmember Bullock. Chief.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we come before you this evening. We're grateful to be here and to have the opportunity to serve in the capacities that each of us in this area has. We're grateful, Father, for the blessings. We ask that thy Spirit would be with us today, that we would make those decisions, if necessary, that would be in the best interest of the city. We ask thee, Father, to have thy Spirit to be with us, that we would be ever grateful for the freedoms that we enjoy. Watch over and bless this city, and we do this humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ.
Amen. Thanks, Chief, and thanks, Brent. I need a motion for approval of our meeting agenda, and we have one item we want to put before, so do we have a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda with moving item 8A up to after I get done speaking.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jensen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Bullock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So we will go to 4A, and we will now ask that our state champion wrestlers please come forward. Well, do you guys have anything to say tonight? I mean, this.
Thank you for having us. We can hear you. There you go. Well, thank you for having us. We're honored to be here and represent Pleasant Grove's wrestling team and our city. So,
Yeah, you guys did a great job. Does anybody else want to speak from your group there?
Well, tell us your name. Tell us your name.
I'm Zeke Kelly.
Hey, you're the next one.
Kyler Farrell. I'm Logan Lamone.
Chase Armitstead. Renan Ludwig.
Okay, if you'd come up here, we have a special, you can return to your coaches and give two recognitions. And we'd like to shake your hands.
Thank you. Thank you for representing us beautifully. So exciting.
Congrats, guys.
Thank you.
Good work, guys. We're going to need them to stand in front of you there at the dais. So
Yeah.
we get a photo.
Do that. Come a little closer.
Wait, whoa.
They're not quite centered, so you guys might have to move over a little bit.
Yeah, can you guys scoot over?
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Okay, we'll do 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Any of the council like to make any comments? You could do so now to any of our wrestlers.
I want to make sure you guys know that I wore this helmet for 14 hours from 9 a.m. until midnight on the night of the tournament, the whole day. So this is in honor of you, okay? You guys are awesome. Thank you. I know there's a lot of people on the team and people are busy, and so we really appreciate you coming out tonight and all the effort and everything you guys gave to the team, so thank you.
Good work. Thank you.
And I'll just add that when you guys were wrestling, a lot of people don't understand the sweat and the sacrifice and the early mornings and the late nights that you guys put in to be champions. But there are some people that do, and moms especially, and past wrestlers. And because of the history of Pleasant Grove and wrestling, I don't know if you could feel it while you were wrestling, but there is an energy that supports all of that sacrifice. So it is beautiful. I am so sad I didn't hear the sirens come up the street. Anyway.
Anyone else?
I'm proud of you. I was back, and I'm going to say before the tradition of all of the championships, I was wrestling, and I never liked anybody who went on to state because I never ever won a wrestling match. So I can appreciate it. And yes, there is sweating even when you're losing. Great job.
Just congratulations and keep up the legacy. We love it.
Yeah.
Wait, so do we have any seniors?
4 out of 5.
Or,
So do we have some good replacements coming up?
Oh, yeah.
We're stacked.
Okay, Mayor, I do have, Mayor, I do have one question.
oh, yeah, good.
So what's with the cowboy hat and baseball and cowboy boots?
That kid's got the answer.
Yeah, what about the horns?
You got to make a statement when you show up.
There you go. All right.
That's our
Very
statement.
Nice. Very good.
And so what was the deal on the antlers?
Oh, that was one of our teammates. What's his last name? Teddy Johnson. So he found. I don't know how he got it, but he carved our theme for the year into it with like a Dremel, and so it was just kind of cool. And then all the state qualifiers signed it, and I don't know. It was just cool.
He collects those sheds from elk and deer. And
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's very cool.
AF Canyon.
That's great.
So, well, thank you guys for coming.
Thank
this
you.
evening.
Good
Thank you,
work.
guys.
You're awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we get to see what it looks like on your head?
Well, yeah, we need
Kyler,
a picture on that.
Kyler. Ted?
We'll include this.
Okay. Can you please send that to us?
I'm not ashamed.
Okay, well, we'll move on to item number 5, our open session this evening, and open our open session and ask anyone who would like to come forward and address the council. They could do that so at this time. We don't see us rush for the podium, so we'll now close our open session and bring it back to the council here and move on to our consent items. Item number 6 this night, and our consent items are our city council minutes of the February the 16th, 2021 meeting, and consider for approval pay request number 1 to Silver Spur Construction for the Mill Ditch Project, and C, consider approval of payment approval reports for February the 25th, 2021, and ask for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent items.
We have a motion by Councilmember Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Councilmember Don, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now, with that, we have finished all of our business this evening, so we will go back to our discussion on our broadband, and it's open to all the council to ask any questions or
So you've seen the full presentation of our findings, our pros and cons, the side-by-side comparison. Just looking for some feedback on what direction you'd like to go, and then we can talk about the next steps. Questions and feedback.
Mayor? I have one question, and that is, if Spanish Fork separated, I'll preface my comment by saying I see the cities that own their own utilities, and I see the revenue that they are collecting, and it's a scary thought to not collect that in the future. With Spanish Fork's revenue that they are collecting, they do have their own channel. They have their own,
Their own cable channel.
they have their own cable channel, and there is staff that supports that. If we didn't have that, what would the revenue cost per home be?
I don't think the cost changes. It's because they have a cable TV charge on top of their broadband charge.
Okay,
So that's separate.
okay.
Now, it's all part of the staff in that sense, but, and one thing about Spanish Fork that's unique is that they are able to retail as the internet service provider, which as soon as they did that, the state legislature came in and said no other cities can retail internet services. So they got in,
But without a public hearing?
no,
No. Oh,
no cities can retail internet services.
okay.
Spanish Fork and Provo were the two
then
that
it's
got in
mute.
under the wire. Provo has given their network to Google. Spanish Fork's the only one that's still operational under that model. So that's a different revenue, because when we're charging, if the charge is $65 a month, a portion of that is going to the internet service provider. Spanish Fork gets to keep that revenue. Now, they do have some employees that they have to fund because they're the internet service provider. But he was the one that said, look, this is a great service for our community, but it does not generate a ton of revenue outside of our expenses.
Okay. Okay.
Mayor, just one more question. Scott, is, just so everyone's clear, I sat on the committee, and the $75 for the 1 gig is actually split between the network provider and the ISP provider,
Yes.
right? So that's a combined total. I just want to make sure everyone's clear with that it's actually 2 entities that are going to be providing the cable or the internet services.
Yeah.
Am I explaining that right?
Yeah, if I remember, Utopia's,
35.
out of the 65, $30 a month goes to Utopia. And that's what goes to pay the bonds, that's what goes to handle the operations. And then a portion of that goes to the internet service provider, and I don't remember if that's the additional 35. I'd have to look back through it, but to Todd's point, it's not like Utopia gets to keep all that money, nor would the city keep all that money, because we would be contracting out with somebody to maintain and operate the system, and then on top of that, the internet service providers would have to be paid a chunk. And so that's why when we're doing the number, not everything's gonna go back to take care of debt service.
Okay, understood.
Mayor, I have a question. I want to say thank you to the committee, right? We had some really good people on there. Impressed with all of them. I think they all had a lot of good insight that they gave us and informed us of the different avenues. I mean, both companies, Strata and Utopia, were great companies. It's just the Utopia is ready, like we talked about, turnkey. They're ready to go. There is a backside to all this, and Utopia has to take care of that backside too. Same with Strata, of the network refresh. I really don't think fiber is gonna go away anywhere anytime soon, as far as the technology, right? It's basically your backbone of our country now. So that's why I recommended Utopia, is just because of the turnkey, the simplicity of it, and us as a city not having to worry about going out and doing the feasibility study, the bonding, and the backside of all this, so.
This might not be here nor there, but the stimulus package that's being debated by Congress is earmarking money for cities and towns, and part of that could be earmarked specifically for broadband services for cities. So I don't know exactly what that looks like. That was just something I read in an article. But if whatever way we decide to go with this, we might want to see, because the stimulus package will probably be approved here in the next couple weeks, to see if there is some potential money coming back to cities for that, which could maybe help draw down what we would need to actually bond for to do that.
Interesting.
One thing I'm concerned about is if we bond, you're going to use all of our bonding authority.
Yeah.
And that's something, I mean, who knows? I mean,
Well, we have another project we're going to be contemplating here in the next
Absolutely.
few months out of the pipe plant.
Yep.
That is going to take some bonding capacity as well. So
So Denise, what is our bonding capacity? How much could we bond for?
How much could we bond for? Give me a second.
Okay,
yeah, that's a number we can get to you on the back end here. That might take Denise a
okay,
little bit. other than
that's
sitting
fine.
here and figuring that
I
out.
thought you always lived with that number in your sleep, whatever, so.
Well, there's different capacities under property tax, a general obligation bond. We have a certain capacity, but if we're going to do a sales tax revenue bond or a franchise tax bond, then based on our revenues, there's a capacity that we have there. But some of our bonds, for instance, the bond that Atrium is paying out
Oh, yeah,
near the
that's
interstate,
all.
that's a sales tax revenue bond.
Yeah.
Now, that's supposed to be retired here by the end of the year, so that will help free up some capacity. But, you know, that, we would have to look specific to say, okay, here's how much money we could actually bond for.
Okay.
But I like that number. I mean, I like knowing what that conversation
Yeah,
was.
yeah, well, and the reality is, if we have to backstop the bonds, that's probably gonna chew up a little bit of our capacity too, Denise.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still think we'll have to help out.
Yeah, so the backstopping bonds will still, could play into our future capacity for bonding, with the understanding that Utopia's number would probably be smaller than Strata's, depending on which way we go.
So you got any more questions for Scott?
No, Mayor.
Well, Todd, what do you think, which direction we think we ought to go?
So I heard them both, and I was a big fan, or I am a big fan of Strata, because of the capabilities, because of the flexibility that it gives us, or that it would give us, I guess I probably should say. You know, unfortunately, it's a big commitment. It delays the time. It's more expensive. It puts us in the driver's seat, which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing from that perspective. I think for after I've sat through all of the presentations, all of the inward discussions, the in discussions, I think we would be best served by doing the Utopia model. I believe that the take rates will be easily captured. As I said, most residents are very, very upset with their current ISP services, and they're just not getting what they need to survive right now. Right now, everything is going streaming. That's all I do at my house is stream. I don't have any cable or anything like that, and so everything's via internet. If I can get the 1 gig for $75, $80, it's a no-brainer for me as a household.
Yeah.
So my recommendation would be we go to Utopia.
Brent, what do you think?
I'd be in favor of Utopia. I think, you know, as you look at it, the only difference is do we own or we don't own?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the problem with the bonding? And the fact that if there's problems, it's our problem.
Yeah, I mean, on both options, if things start falling apart, we have the same issue.
Yeah.
That doesn't change. The thing that changes is capturing a little bit of that upside.
Yep.
I think we don't,
Well, and just on a side note, Mayor, I think Utopia is willing to work with us if we have some ideas or we want to do something. Roger's been more than open with us, said, I'll work with you, so.
Yeah, so there's a negotiation that would take place about the city facilities and things like that to see what we could, you know, help us with our internal operations. So those are all discussions that we can have with them. If we're heading down that road and we're negotiating a contract, we'll figure out what that looks like.
Diana?
So I love the idea of every house having the ability to have affordable internet. I believe that the survey that was sent out is correct. I believe that many of our citizens need it. I did watch during COVID, parents with multiple children needing to be in school, and it was impossible.
Yeah.
So I am in favor of that. On the financial side, I'm terrified. I'm terrified because it is a burden. It is it's an unknown. So I'm worried about the funding. I'm worried about what that looks like for 20 years. I'm also, I want to know what it means to our bond rating. I want to know what it does to our ability to borrow money if in the case of an emergency. What does that look like? Will we have the funds that we need to run the city? So I think once those questions have been solved for me, then I think I would love to own it, but I also understand that there's probably not enough money to make to compensate for the lack of personnel, or to compensate for the personnel that would need to be hired.
And if I can just address, and I've said this, but I think it's a point just to reiterate that if the numbers, if the financial commitment is something that causes us a lot of heartburn, then really we just don't do it, period. It's not a strata utopia thing. It's just we don't do anything. And then we wait for the private sector to see where they land when it comes to this. So that's the downside, is will our residents ever have that opportunity? It's just hard to say. I don't know if Comcast or CenturyLink are ever going to come in and put fiber to the home. So
Mayor, point of interest, question?
Yes, go ahead.
So talk about the bonding, if Utopia goes out and does the bonding, I don't think that affects our,
it's still, we have to backstop it, so that could affect our capacity.
at what degree though, Denise?
Well,
do you
that's
know?
what Denise is going to look up, and we'll get back with you on that.
Okay.
When I talked with Clearfield, they committed their franchise taxes, not their sales tax. So that was their mechanism to do that.
And I am interested in that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Sid.
Utopia sounds good.
Okay, well, all I know is and working closely with CenturyLink and lived my life here with the local Bell. They don't want to be a local phone company anymore, but they want to be an internet provider, but they will not come in and spend the money in Pleasant Grove. It's just not on their radar, so that's not an option. And you won't have anybody else that'll want to come in and overbuild the community because we don't have enough for them to turn a profit for, say, a strata to come in and just overbuild. They want somebody else to take the upfront money because it'd be a long payoff. So I really think, and I'd love to own our own system and give us more flexibility, but I think Utopia is the way to go, other than, like I've told the committee before, when you sign a deal with Utopia just because where they came from, it's like doing a deal with the devil, and there's no upside with the devil, right? So anyway, or maybe there is, but anyway, no, but I think they would do us, and I think we can be able to negotiate maybe some stuff for our community and different things around our parks and cameras and for our city needs and our well houses, and we'll just have to see where that goes so I would agree with you. I think it looks like we want to enter into some negotiations with Utopia.
Can I bring up something you mentioned to me the other day, and that is the CenturyLinks and some of these other companies, they're now doing this when there's new construction. So new subdivisions going in, they're putting this in as part of their new construction.
Yeah.
There's going to be a broadband to the home because they know that's the future. We're almost built out as a city.
Yep.
And so somebody's going to have to come in and really start from scratch. There's not going to be a ton of upside for them on the future growth of Pleasant Grove. And so I think that's would be one of the reasons why it would be slow for a Comcast or a CenturyLink to come in and do this for our
Yeah,
city.
that's true. I mean, out in Eagle Mountain, Lehigh area, all the CenturyLink is fiber to the home out there. We don't do copper anymore. It's all fiber to the home. And same thing in St. George. And but a new subdivision goes into Pleasant Grove, you're not getting fiber to the home. You're just getting. So anyway, so.
Okay, so I'm understanding my direction is then to sit down with Utopia and start the process of getting a contract in place. So
I think that's our direction.
We'll start heading that way.
Mayor, point of question, just a point of interest.
Yeah.
Question, what is the timing then? Like if when this happens, you sit down, you talk to them,
Yeah.
we enter an agreement, comes back to the city council for approval, or
Yes. Yep.
what is that?
Yeah.
Kind of walk through that process.
Yep.
for us.
So we'll contact them. They have a template. They have a boilerplate agreement. So we'll take a look at that and see what changes we want to make or things that we feel that need to be a part of the deal. We need to have that discussion with them about potential enhancements to our community. Wi-Fi hotspots, some of these things that would be possible if we had our own network, and see what that looks like. So there's going to be some discussion there. And then we'll work it out as staff and we'll bring it back to you. We'll have Roger come back when that time comes so that you can ask questions with him. And we'll get to a point where if we're comfortable where we're at, then we'll sign on the dotted line, and then Roger can tell us this is now how it's going to roll from here on out. I'm hoping 2 months tops, we can have a contract figured out. It will take a little bit. This isn't going to be something we're going to have hammered out by tomorrow afternoon. So.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
Hey, they said they put the system in 6 minutes, so
Yes, you did.
I think we're good.
I think the west side will be built first, so anyway, so that's good news. Because that's the best digging anyway, the best one.
I've got a few addresses where they can start.
First East,
Start at the city center and move east.
along First East would be a nice place to start.
So, thanks, Scott. Okay, well now, since we're having a brief meeting tonight, I'll ask our different directors to give us a brief report for their different departments, if there's anything they've got to bring up with us. And Aaron, do you have anything for us? We welcome you here tonight for the first time representing Marty, and so do you have anything to? Hey, we really like you. You know, you need to. So that's Marty would go.
Marty likes them too.
Well, that's good. So,
Well, but that includes engineering and public works?
yeah, so anyway.
No, so
Anyway.
I'm serious. Okay.
So anyway, and we'll, Chief Roberts, would you come forward? If any of the council would like any questions to ask him, you're free to do so.
I don't have much tonight, just a couple things. Talked about a pretty good search warrant we did last time. Eric brought it up. I guess the captain just put it on Facebook. I didn't see that yet, but the officers made a few traffic stops and were able to get some drugs out of the stops, tied it to a residence down in Strawberry Point, ended up typing up a warrant, and we were able to serve another warrant, which produced some pretty good seizures from it. Really quick, 3 pounds of marijuana, 2.7 pounds of marijuana actually, which is $2,200 per pound. 294 THC vape cartridges, which is $8,800 worth, so that's pretty good. 18.3 ounces of marijuana dab, 1.5 ounces of mushrooms, 22 fluid ounces of THC alcohol, which is just pure liquid THC, 22 ounces of THC butter, like 4 big Walmart containers of THC edibles, and then $3,500 cash, so that was pretty good. Pretty good search warrant. Take off the street. Last week we had an individual, a gentleman, go up on the Grove Creek Trail and shoot himself in the head with a high-powered rifle, which is I want to say a common thing, but we respond to those kind of things a lot, and it's pretty rough for our officers to see. Our officers responded up there, were able to find him. It was due to he actually shot himself and then was able to call 911 because he didn't die, and he wasn't able to cycle another round in, but where he was on the trail, it was kind of the 911 call actually went to American Fork first, and so they weren't able to pinpoint his location. American Fork wasn't able to find him. We responded up there. We were able to find him and stabilize him until the ambulance got up there. The ambulance was able to transport him down to Utah Valley, where he went into ICU, of course. Well, anyways, just on a weird note, his mother ended up calling the police department today. He's an adult, but his mother ended up calling the police department today and asking to speak with the supervisor that was on duty on that call, and told him what room number he's in, said that he's going to make a full recovery, and that mentally he was happy and that everything seemed to be okay. And that's, in a week's worth of time with a high-powered rifle, that's a miracle. So she requested that if our officers were available, if they would respond down and have a conversation with him, and so that was kind of cool. Just on a side note, we recently purchased a program called Onstar Solutions, which is a training program. It's a web-based training program for our department, which is an amazing program. It gives each of our officers, so it'll give 28 officers 200 hours of training per officer. And we're required by the state to have a certain amount of hours per year to keep our certification, which is only 40, but it'll give the officers 200, and that's state-of-the-art training, so they keep up on the training, keep up on the database, and keep everything up to date. So we got it for a really good price, so that's an amazing thing. Apparently Tina got signed up for it as well, so that's a good thing. It's a great program. Guys are excited about that, so just busy. We had 3 day shift guys out last Friday. I was up finishing a couple things up in my office, and they took 25 cases in the matter of 8 hours on Friday. For 3 guys, that's quite a bit. So vehicle burglaries were getting hammered. We had 2 guns stolen. For the life of me, I can't realize why people are still leaving expensive items in their cars, but they are. So questions or?
Any other questions for the chief? Anybody?
Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Sherry?
I honestly don't have much to report, but if you could have me follow somebody other than the chief, that would be really nice.
I'll have you go first next time.
There you go. Yeah, we're plugging along, doing fine, preparing for the summer reading program, doing it out in parks around the city this time instead of in the library. Just changing things up a little bit. Some libraries do that even before COVID, just to get out in different parts of the community and get different people exposed. And so, but we thought it's a win-win both ways. So, and Todd's wife is going to come help us this summer. So we're excited to have that professional expert help too. So that's
Okay,
it.
any questions? Yeah. Anybody else has any comments for Sherry? I have one, just, I think we'll plan on having our regular Memorial Day.
Oh. Okay,
So we'll move forward with that, okay?
all right.
That's all right with the council?
Yes.
I think we'll be, and I think it'll be great, so thank you.
Okay.
Our parks, Dion.
Things are going good. It's warming up. Trail's still closed. We're trying to get it ready to go. Spent a few hours up there today. We've had quite a bit of illegal trail riders on it, which have caused quite a bit of damage this winter. And so there's going to be a little bit of maintenance there. We've been able to get, not everything, but a good portion of the city aerated last week. And we've started working diamonds. The bathrooms at Discovery are almost complete. The only thing we have out there left is the stalls, and they're going in this week. Then we'll be able to move on to some other projects. At least Bill will anyway. Pickleball court's moving right along. So if you haven't been up there and you want to go up, just grab me and we'll go take a walk through it.
So, any questions for Dion? Okay, thanks, Dion.
Yep.
Are we then on track for
June 1st. It's kind of yeah, we are. We had that storm kind of set us back a little bit, but they've been playing catch up, so it's good. They're doing a good job.
And just so you know, I've contacted Lisa Young to get on the schedule for Strawberry Days to do the ribbon cutting after the fireman's breakfast that first Saturday of Strawberry Days. So
That'd be great.
when we get a little closer, we'll be sure to make sure that's on your calendar.
Our recreation department.
We will need those courts to be ready for a pickleball tournament during Strawberry Day, so hopefully that all happens. We were just right in between. We just finished junior jazz basketball and revving up for futsal. There's indoor soccer and outdoor soccer for the older kids. Getting ready for baseball, softball, adult softball, volleyball in the rec center. We're right in between seasons. It's a really busy time, and the facility's getting used quite well. And as far as fitness-wise, we got our new equipment in for our weight training class. So they use bars and dumbbells, and a lot of excitement around it because it's something that they've asked for a long time to have as part of the fitness lineup. So we're really excited to offer that as one of our fitness classes. And then something we also got suggested by someone on our employees, her daughter is doesn't really want to go to a fitness class with all the older ladies and wanted something more for her. So we're starting in March when high school kids are out of school on Wednesdays, and junior high kids. We're going to be starting a 9:30 fitness class for those age students. And we're pretty excited about that, to be able to have them a place that they can come feel comfortable and get their exercise and their fitness. And so that'll be going on in March. So. But yeah, just busy. So.
Anybody got anything to ask Tyler? No. Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Our fire chief.
Mayor and Council, I think we got a call from the same mother that Chief Roberts was talking about. We thought we were winning the call. We couldn't figure it out, but just so you know, she's very appreciative of what the officers did, and American Fork showing up in that call. She was more than happy. She was, it was our assistant Laurel talked to her for about 40 minutes trying to figure out where this happened, who was actually on the call, but she was, I mean, just absolutely, thank from the bottom of her heart. She was totally appreciative of those guys. So just so you guys know. Everything's going great in the fire department. Tomorrow, we're going to have interviews for a battalion chief. Hoping to get that spot filled this next week, this next few days. We're going to have a lieutenant's test. The signing closes tomorrow, so we'll know who put in for that. And then hopefully by next week, we'll get that position filled for lieutenants after that. So we're just slowly kind of picking up, filling in spots, and then we'll probably have a higher test. And I'll probably do that before the next couple of weeks so we get back up to full staffing and continue what we're doing. Some of you know our ambulance is probably be here, I'm guessing July-ish, July or August, they're talking about.
Oh, good.
So it should be pretty quick. That'll be nice. That'll be great. Other than that, we're doing CPR classes. I know Sarah's been working with a lot of departments, getting Public Works and the Rec Center and all these guys, getting all the employees through CPR classes. So we're getting through some of those right now. And we'll probably start up the next little while, get a little plan together, and maybe start offering CPR classes to the public once a month. Some, certified classes and just some like babysitting ones where it's just a real basic, first aid type class, stop the bleed stuff. So we'll be working on that, and hopefully this, the COVID stuff will start slowing down a little bit so we can start, gearing up and getting more people in there. So other than that, that's all I can think of right off the top of my head. So.
Think got anything for the chief?
Nope.
Great job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Denise, do you have anything else for us tonight?
Just working on budget.
That's your job.
Bonding stuff and some other stuff.
Kathy looks after all of us and makes sure we've got everything signed. Anything else, Kathy? So, Dina, do you have any?
No, I don't have anything further. I mean, I have lots of stuff we're working on, but you'll see it all on an agenda sooner or later, so.
Okay. And Kyler? Nothing tonight, thank you. Okay, we'll turn time back to our city administrator, and if you have anything else to add tonight, and give us about
Just a couple updates. I mean, we've got a committee we're putting together to look at the Fox Hollow situation and whether it makes sense for us to divest ourselves from the golf course. We have three, each city's going to have 3 representatives, so we'll have a committee of 9, and we're hoping next week to get that rolling so that we can look at some of these proposals and see if there's something that would make sense for the 3 cities to move in that direction. So just want to let you know that's still moving along.
Do you want to tell who the 3 members are from our city?
Yeah, for us, it's the mayor, myself, and Diana will be represented in Pleasant Grove, which is pretty much the other cities have mayor, administrator, and a council member. There's some good proposals. I think there'll be some interesting things to look at and see if there's something that does benefit the cities if we were to do that, but also our residents if we were to take that step. So we'll take a look at that. In 2 weeks, our work session right now, most of the time will be spent on budget. We'll review the capital that we talked about at our retreat. We'll also, we should have our health insurance increase by then from our insurance broker. And we'll have some headway on what we're looking at for salaries. So that will probably be the majority of our discussion. Our meeting in April 13th, we'll get into the utility rates and what we need to do there. So we're still hoping in 2 weeks to talk specifically about public works out at the pipe plant with numbers and a funding plan. But there's a lot going on there, so we're hoping we'll be all set for that. If not, that might push to the next meeting, but we're shooting for that. And then we just have a few items. We will have awarding a bid on the tennis courts in 2 weeks, and we have an interlocal agreement on our municipal elections. That interlocal agreement is with Utah County. They've essentially doubled the price for us to run our elections for us. So we'll talk about what that means, and we'll talk about that as part of the budget, and then we'll talk about how we want to handle that. We have a lease out at the pipe plant to the group that we bought it from. They lease back a little bit of property and store some things out there. They want to extend the lease with the understanding that we'll have a 90-day out. If we develop the pipe plant or that portion of it, then we'll just need to give them 90-day notice. We have a franchise agreement, potentially. We have a couple that are kind of placeholders here for a group that wants to use our right-of-way to put in some communications. And then we have a plat, Murdoch Drive Plat A road dedication. You can tell our building developing has slowed down the last month or two. We haven't had a ton. Well, that's going to change. We're going to start seeing some more. Our planning commission agenda is starting to fill up, which means your agenda is going to start filling up with some planning, zoning, engineering stuff. So that's what we have in 2 weeks.
Anybody have any questions for Scott?
Maybe just one, Mayor.
Yeah.
The pickleball, or the tennis courts bid, that's being paid for by CARE funds.
No.
Is that right? Was that part of?
It was COVID money.
COVID monies
Yep.
that we were able to do? Okay,
Yep.
all right, I just want to make sure I understood that.
Yeah, we'll have a proposal from, if you remember from our retreat, we talked about doing all the courts out there. So we'll have, now
I
we
just
know
couldn't
the
remember if there
cost.
was some monies that was being used for that CARE or not, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
because there's, moving forward, we have capital money, we also have CARE tax, with the exception of our CARE tax is committed, next year's money is committed to finish the pickleball courts. But we'll talk about how that juggles a little bit when we talk in 2 weeks. If we wanted to do more than just 2 of the courts and maybe do 4 of the courts, maybe transition 2 of the courts into pickleball, we're going to have numbers for all of that for you to consider to see if that's something you want to proceed on. The one's the done deal. Well, it's not a done deal. As soon as we award the bid, then it's a done deal. But the other 4 are up for discussion.
Thanks.
Good.
Thanks, Mayor.
Aaron, did you come forward? See, we'll get you to speak anyway, okay?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Listening to other people's reports, I realize there's probably a couple things that might be of interest to you as you speak with residents and whatnot. Particularly, we're getting ready, our contractor, we gave him the notice to proceed yesterday, late in the day. Mayor signed it yesterday to proceed on the North Union ditch piping that they're redoing over here on Loader Avenue. So the contractor, I believe he either mowed yesterday or today, and he'll be starting very, very soon on that. They've got a strict time frame. They've got to have it done and completed and ready for water by April 15th. And so that's happening. And then as well, things are progressing very well up at the mill ditch piping that we're also doing with the Pleasant Grove Irrigation Company, and that's progressing very well. And I just thought you guys might like to know that. Any questions?
Thank you. Well, we still got work going on, so that's good. So anyway, with that, we'll go to the council. We'll start on your side, Sid. Have you got anything you want to bring up with the council?
Nope.
Diana?
Nope.
Yes.
Go ahead, Eric.
I talked to Crust Club today, and they want to redo their groundbreaking because the one they did with Mr. Myler was boring. No, we weren't there. We weren't there, of course. So
We weren't there.
we weren't there. So
Therefore-
we're going to reorganize and redo this, and so that will be coming shortly.
Okay. All right. Brent?
Nothing, thanks.
Todd?
Nope, nothing tonight, thank you.
Yeah, well, I will let you know that the Strawberry Day Rodeo tickets are available to buy. I've got mine today for Saturday night.
Uh-oh.
And so put that on your, and there's a lot of seats, but I'm sure it's going to be a sellout. And I think we're going to have a huge celebration for our 100th year. So, and it was interesting, we was on a call with the other mayors and city administrators today, and I reminded them about Strawberry Days, and they were asking what we were going to do for precautions or whatever, and we says, well, whatever the state, whatever we can get away with. So anyway, so and that basically it, Scott. And they were
I
great.
think our comment was, Strawberry Days, first of all, is their own organization. They're going to proceed. They're working with the health department, the Utah County Health Department. We're hoping that what the governor's telling us is going to hold up, and the fact that we don't have to social distance and wear masks. We don't know that today, but that's where they're headed.
And then I found out that Lehigh never did have a rodeo last.
Oh,
They canceled it.
I thought they did.
No. Said they didn't, and
And then ended up canceling.
Okay,
and theirs is the week after us, or the
yeah.
week and a half after us. And so they're, and then they got still days after that. So they're all appreciative that we're going first to get everything worked out. So anyway, but it's going to be a fun summer. It's going to be great to maybe get back to some normal things in our lives around here. So anyway, and the other thing, Monday, the old Walmart in American Fork will fire up to be the Johnson & Johnson shop place. So anyway, so
Wow.
maybe that's where you guys will end up. So things are moving forward
What, the
well
young
with the
people?
The young people, yeah. So with,
Yes.
yeah, so anyway, so with that, I would ask for a motion, if there's nothing else anyone would like to discuss, that we, a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's
Yeah.
city council meeting.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.